Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani and welcome back to this series that's sort of a kind of a handbook or a glossary of all the terms that are used out there when people talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. This series is really meant to give you an opportunity to understand what these words mean, so when you read them or hear about them, you really know what they are, as well as to reflect on these terms and see if any of these are useful techniques that might work in your life, as well as things that may be happening to you. So it's really my hope in this series to create a lot of clarity for anyone who may have confusion over any of these terms. Today, we're going to take on the concept of gray rock. This is a term many of you may know, but let's talk about what we mean by gray rock. So let's talk about gray rocks. Let's say you can't go no contact, okay? And this is true in so many cases of narcissistic abuse. For example, let's say you have shared custody, you have elderly parents, you have a job that you can't afford to lose, or adult children you may not just be ready to let go of. And there's many other situations out there that mean that the sort of luxury of no contact can't be used. We know no contact works, it's part of the series, but it's not always available to us. Gray rock is exactly what it sounds like. Now, let's face it, nothing could be more inert or dull than a gray rock. We just don't notice gray rocks, do we? Just keep moving on if one was on the road or a trail in front of us. So as a result, gray rock optimally results in other people ignoring you just because you're so boring. So when you're actually doing gray rock, what it involves engaging in a minimal response, just having sort of flat emotion, not really engaging, not explaining yourself, not defending yourself, not arguing, just not. And in essence, you become boring and uninteresting and no longer a source of narcissistic supply. So remember, while narcissistic supply is typically admiration and validation, it also means that you might be providing an argument with them, like getting into a conflict with them. And they love arguments and they love conflict. And whatever you give them that might help them feel more like a victim is also, believe it or not, narcissistic supply. So for years in your narcissistic relationship, whether it was a partner or a family member or a friend or a boss, you have done what normal people do in normal relationships. You engage with them. You ask questions of the other person. You might pry a little bit. And when someone questions you or seeks conflict with you, you might even explain your point of view or defend your point of view. These are all very normal things to do. So when you do any of that with a narcissist, you are going to face a world of hurt. You're going to face gaslighting, insulting, intimidation, cruelty, and over time, you're going to get confused. That's the nature of a narcissistic relationship, is confusion. You try a bunch of different tactics, but nothing works. Some people end up sort of in a gray rock space in their narcissistic relationship by default because you just stop trying. But here's the rub. When you stop trying from a place of helplessness or powerlessness, yeah, you do stop engaging or talking, but that's not gray rock. That's from a place of defeat. You're worn down. Gray rock is powerful because it's intentional. It's an intentional technique that comes from actually understanding how narcissism works. It reflects a concerted effort by you to no longer play the narcissist game, to no longer sit there and allow yourself to be invalidated, to no longer provide them with narcissistic supply, to no longer waste your time engaging with them, simply to just end up being gaslighted and manipulated again. Does gray rock work? You better believe it. Because when you become uninterested and uninteresting, when you become no longer a source of supply, no longer a source of reward for them, initially, They get really mad, really, really mad. Now remember, narcissists often view other people as conveniences or things that they need, like a can opener or a corkscrew. And if all of a sudden that can opener stopped working, at first you would probably curse at it a few times, like, oh, you know, this darn can opener, blah, blah, blah. And then you might even throw it in the trash. The narcissist views you in a similar manner. If you aren't doing what they want anymore, they'll be like, and they might curse at you and then throw you in the trash. So initially, when you start gray rocking, the narcissist is going to get really angry. And then they may even amp up their anger and their rage. You are no longer feeding their need for arguments and drama and validation and admiration. They may push harder. They may bait you more. They may say even more and more cruel things and even, escalate their insults. They want to get a rise out of you. And this is going to continue for a while. So you're really going to need to white knuckle through this experience of going gray rock and not succumb and not get into the mud with them again. You've got to be prepared for it. So interestingly, when you do start to gray rock, one of the things a narcissist in an intimate relationship may actually suspect is that you are cheating on him or her. And the reason for that is because they're actually going to notice that you're not engaging with them at the same level or not arguing with them in the same way or having the same kinds of emotional reactions you once had. They often go right to their most insecure place and assume that you found someone else. Now, of course, they don't care enough to recognize that perhaps their behavior was problematic, and so that you might have then gone ahead and decided to go find other healthy sources of support. No. They don't take that kind of responsibility. They may actually really believe you found someone else and also really start getting angry and defensive about your other relationships. For example, friendships you turn to or other sources of support. And they will lash out at you for having a pleasant conversation with a friend, for example, on the phone and laughing and showing emotion while you're talking to that friend, but that you're not doing that with them. So ideally, don't talk to your friends and other family members and people you care about in the presence of the narcissist, but that isn't always possible. So when your narcissistic partner starts attacking you about your other friendships, go gray rock, stay gray rock, and slowly you have to train yourself to not care about the narcissist's reactions. So a common response when you start to gray rock a narcissist is that they start using a gaslighting technique where they start calling you out. They start calling you, for example, they call you pompous or stuck up. And they may even trivialize you by saying, oh, don't you use that therapy speak with me? Assuming that perhaps you've distanced yourself from them because of what you're learning in therapy. Even if you're not in therapy, they're just going to assume someone has sort of taught you to switch up your game because they're losing their power. Now, these narcissists aren't completely stupid. In fact, they're often quite as clever as a fox. And at some level, they know that they're getting away with something when they treat you so badly and so dismissively, but they would never admit to it. They just kind of know they are getting away with something. So their insults when you are going gray rock will involve things like calling you out for acting like you're too good for everyone, especially if you're using gray rock in a family setting. And even the healthy members of the family may take offense at your use of gray rock and call you out for it. Why is that? Because it's a very powerful technique. When you do gray rock, you flash a really harsh lens on the dysfunctional family system. And as a result, especially if you were the scapegoat and you were having to take all the abuse, now they may be getting it because you're gray rock. So this can also play into feelings of guilt that many people feel in narcissistic relationships. You're going to see The narcissist in your life wriggling uncomfortably, and because you have spent so many years caving into them and enabling them, you may actually feel guilty that your narcissist is uncomfortable. And that may push you to want to break your gray rock and fall into your usual patterns of appeasing your narcissist. But the beautiful day is going to come when they are in fact bored with you because you are no longer a source of drama or supply or conflict. So they may start to check out and they may slowly start to slip away. So pay attention, because again, you're going to need nerves of steel. At this point, any of your own triggers around abandonment or your fears or triggers around being alone may really be activated. And when the narcissist starts to check out, even though it's a win, remember, they're going, that's good, it's going to feel overwhelming. So you may start engaging with them again. Do not succumb. You now see that when you are no longer a source of supply or validation or conflict, that you stop being interesting to them. It was never about you. It was about their need for validation. And just like that can opener I was talking about, you were functional. You did something. And if you no longer serve that function, they're going to discard you. That's an important wake-up call. Because this time, though, the discard is happening because you recognize that you no longer just want to be a source of supply to them. And once you decided, I'm not just going to be a source of supply, you cut that function, the narcissist lost their interest. So at this point in the gray rock process, you may actually also experience some grief, because going gray rock really does put a pointed lens on the narcissistic relationship. You can really see that they really only did view you as supply, and confirmation that all you were was supply can actually feel really uncomfortable and sad. Suspecting that something is true and then having it confirmed as true is a really complex mix of feelings. It can feel reassuring, but it can also feel devastating. Some people wonder, okay, even if I do gray rock and the narcissist then devalues me and discards me, are they going to come back around? That's always the question, right? If you gray rock them, are they going to come sniffing back around? In most cases, yes. Remember, even after you instituted this whole gray rocking, they ultimately got bored with the whole process with you. You were no longer interesting supply to them. At one point, and probably for a really long time, you were a source of supply and of drama. And it isn't always easy for a narcissist to find new supply. Not everybody wants to tolerate their BS or their abuse or their victimhood, especially if your narcissist isn't that flashy or that rich or has the other stuff or attributes that draw people in. Kind of if you have sort of an average narcissist who's just kind of grumpy and mean, other people aren't going to want to put up with this. And some people, especially maybe if you're watching this channel, you see the narcissist coming and they get away fast. So if you were once a tried and true source of narcissistic supply, they may come back and start sniffing around as part of a process called hoovering, which is another video in this series. But if you maintain your gray rocking and you stay steady and you remind yourself that the narcissist is not likely to change in any significant way, then you will still be protected when they come sniffing around again, when they start hoovering. And then, if you remain and retain your gray rocking, this time around, they'll get bored with you even more quickly. The key to gray rock is to stay steady with it. Remember that narcissists are like chameleons, and they can change for any situation, and they will use a range of manipulative strategies to draw you back in. They need your supply. They need your validation. They may try, for example, they might try love bombing again. And they may use a whole host of other techniques to break you out of your gray rock phase. If you fall for it, in the blink of an eye, they are going to be back to having contempt for you and all the rejection and all the invalidation. The key to gray rock then is to stay steady with it and to not waver, even when the narcissist keeps switching strategies. The only thing I can guarantee you is they're going to keep invalidating you. So lots of people can see how gray rock would work in a close, intimate relationship. But what about other close relationships? It works great, actually. Gray rock works great in family settings because it gives you the opportunity to still go to the family wedding or go to the holiday dinner, but not have to engage in any kind of meaningful way with the narcissist. You may have a beloved grandparent or a beloved sister or someone you want to be at the event with. You gray rock everyone else. As I said throughout this video, it's not unusual for your entire family to be really angry if you go gray rock. And this is especially true if you are the scapegoat in a family setting. By going gray rock, the narcissists in the family system now need to find new supply and new targets. And their new targets, as I noted, may not appreciate losing you as a sacrificial lamb who took all of the punches. That's dark, but it's true. And your family may view you now as arrogant and uppity and full of yourself. Do not let them get you down. Hold your ground, because that gaslighting that they're doing is the way they're trying to suck you back into your usual role in the family system. Now, can gray rock work in professional settings? It works great in professional settings. At the end of the day, your boss may not have a leg to stand on if you are getting your work done. But your boss may not like that he or she is not getting their narcissistic supply. Toxic workplaces that are run by narcissists are often characterized by dynamics like triangulation, chaos, gossip, and favoritism. Gray rock means at work you maintain calm and neutral responses, and to stop believing that your communication with the narcissist is ever going to result in change. However, you do need to sort of round out the gray rock strategy in a way with lots of documentation of what you are actually getting done at work, of the actual work product you create. Find ways, and there's software that lets you do this, however it is in your job, you've got to track what you do. And you need to ensure that you find the proper points of contact in your employment situation. That may be HR. It's going to vary from workplace to workplace. Gray rock stops you from making all of the usual mistakes with narcissists. All the stuff I lecture against, such as explaining yourself, over-engaging with them, thinking that you're ever going to have a normal and balanced conversation, like today is going to be different with them. So why does gray rock work? Because very simply, you stop engaging. You stop providing the emotional energy that the narcissist needs. It's like you stop providing the oxygen for a fire. You're just cutting off the oxygen supply, and like a fire or a candle, it's going to go out. So for the narcissist, their inability to control you, their sense of feeling abandoned by you when you go gray rock, and their loss of narcissistic supply initially will result in rage by them. And then they will, over time, really grow disinterested in you as they attempt to protect themselves and their insecurity. And they go out and try to find a more fruitful source of narcissistic supply. Their lack of self-reflective capacity means that they do not understand their impact on other people. So they don't understand why you needed to go gray rock. They don't understand why anyone would ever pull away from them. Instead, they will pathologize you. They will gaslight you. They will attack you because you pulled away, because you went gray rock. Anyone who did that to them. Now, one of the hardest parts of gray rocking is having to shut down your range of normal emotions in the presence of the narcissist. You have to catch yourself, especially if this is someone you've known for a long time, partner or family member, and not share the good stuff that's happening in your life. In other words, you can't be effusively happy, you can't be cheerful, because the narcissist is going to perceive those positive emotions as a threat. How dare you be happy without my approval? And they will try to rain on your parade. I'm sure many of you have experienced that. Some gray rockers don't care. They have trained themselves, and it takes a while to do this, but train themselves to the point that they don't let the narcissist's dark moods bring them down. But for a novice gray rocker, if you're new to the gray rocking party, or for someone who's in a particularly toxic relationship, it is absolutely crucial that you keep a really sort of neutral rein on those emotions. And as soon as you can get away from the toxic person, find a happy place to share that emotion, and only do it then. It may be calling a friend, it may be texting a friend, but you have to wait till you get away from them. Now, gray rock is one of those techniques that works. It really works. It's sort of narcissism 101 in terms of management, but it's not easy. It brings up really complicated feelings like guilt, and also the fact that you may have deeper feelings that get activated by the narcissist's overwhelming rage, and perhaps your own fears about being discarded by the narcissist, your own abandonment issues that may come up. But if you can reflect on gray rock as a way of protecting yourself, it can have so much more power. And the other beauty, the other thing I really love about gray rock is that it doesn't involve being intentionally cruel or saying unkind things or engaging in other deliberately cruel actions. Instead, it's really about an interesting form of distancing, a word that has new meaning for all of us now. I always want anyone who's interacting with a narcissist to remember to don't give the best parts of yourself over to the narcissist. Gray rock is powerful because you hold those parts back and it works. To be able to successfully practice gray rock, you do need to take care of yourself. You can really deplete a lot of psychological bandwidth, always having to censor yourself and always holding your tongue and not engaging and not reacting. Tools like therapy, meditation, mindfulness, exercise, and just taking better care of yourself, like getting enough sleep, are all really important tools to give you the psychological muscle and the psychological strength and fortitude to be able to gray rock for the long term. I really hope that this video has clarified once and for all what gray rock is. It is incredibly powerful, and it's sort of an added little way to remember it. If you're a new gray rocker, one thing I would suggest is literally, in fact, people who come to my events, we give these to them. Get yourself a little gray pebble and stick it in your pocket. Just have it there so you can sort of touch it and feel it like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to go gray rock, or put it on a pendant or something. But have that little reminder of what it is you're supposed to do. Those kinds of touchstones can help you engage in this really powerful technique. I really hope it works for you. I hope this video clarified gray rock, and keep staying tuned, because this series is going to clarify all of these narcissistic terms. Thanks again. Thanks again. Thanks again. Thanks again.